got you in my sight. I keep all the words you said to me. I get you, get you, get you, get you on your knees. Rewrite all the things you said that I should be. I'll get you, get you, get you, now you beg me please. Hey.
Disclaimer, read all about it.
Hey everybody, put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me before I get started. Today was an epic day, even though it doesn't seem like it on the surface. It was, or is about to be, bananas. Welcome in everybody. Thank you so much, Chris. I want to make sure everybody can hear me before I start blabbering off. What? Oh, I can hear me. It was, or is about to be, bananas. Yes, it is, Eve. You are correct. You are correct. So, welcome in, everybody. My name is Eve. This channel is called The Eve Effect, where I discuss true crime and true crime-related matters. A little bit of political here soon, not like what you think. More political true crime. Okay. So that's coming because they kind of go hand in hand sometimes. It's criminal. These gas prices are criminal, I tell you what. And the cost of living, it is outrageous. So that's crime to me. But my channel is mostly about missing persons cases and injustices that happen to victims and their family members. Now, sometimes that can dabble into a gray area where the victim or the victims of a missing person, sometimes family can be perpetrators, sometimes they don't. So it isn't always just one-sided here. And we want to aim for the truth because the truth cannot be killed. That's one thing that I know for a fact. The truth in itself is impervious to be eradicated. You can't do it. And that's something that I've learned in my life. And I think that it applies in everything, everywhere at any time. And that's what we do here. So what are we talking about today? Well, of course, we're talking about the Idaho versus Stacey Wondra case. If you're new here, I always want to give people the basics of what we're talking about. And this is a trial that pertains to a missing 5-year-old boy at the time named Michael Vaughan from Fruitland, Idaho. He was reported missing in the evening of July 27, 2021. No one has seen him since. He has not been seen on any CCTV footage. And there is no earthly idea where he went, how he went, and where he's at now. We just don't know. But the police believe that through circumstantial evidence alone, that a man and 3 others are involved in the disappearance of Michael Vaughan. They live in the subdivision across the street from Michael's home. It's about a 4-minute walk. And how they got to this conclusion was because they had an inkling. What do I mean by that? Well, a few months after Michael went missing, a detective started going through CCTV footage, and Stacey Wondra, who is on trial for murder, kidnapping, destruction, or tampering, altercation of evidence of Michael in Michael's case, he stopped at a splash pad hours before Michael was reported missing, and because he stopped at a splash pad, got out of the car to try to get his dip, his chew, his tobacco products that had fallen under the seat because he's a big guy and whatnot, and wasn't successful because the door was locked. Those 2010-11 cars are notorious for that. Believe me, I know. I have a 2011 Subaru. I do it all the time. That door just locks. That's just how they work. So, because he stopped there to get his chew, it was taken as he was testing the door handle mere hours before Michael went missing, and therefore there's a connection to some kind of kidnapping conspiracy. That's how it started. Now, you have to understand that Stacey Wondra, who is on trial, it's pre-trial right now, he is prone to false confessions per the FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit, telling the detectives this. I have a feeling he might have done it before to get a deal on something else unrelated to Michael prior. But that's exactly what he alleges he did in this case, because the police had interviewed him while in prison for an unrelated charge, a federal gun charge, that made him feel that his then soon-to-be ex-wife, now ex-wife, Sarah Wondra, who was living at the home across from Michael's, the subdivision across from Michael's home, was going to roll on him or try to pin it on him. So he obviously wanted to get ahead of the game. And that ended up somehow becoming a confession that has no corroborating physical evidence of any kind whatsoever. He's got an IQ of 69. He was born with fetal alcohol syndrome, which you might not think is important, right? But it is, because these people are prone to false confess under high pressure situations, as the FBI told these detectives, which is shamefully, Chris Madonna was there and helped during this entire process. He is a experienced retired detective that turned a nonprofit to help solve cold cases. Okay. And unfortunately, he has been involved in this and has done some things that I'm sure wouldn't look good if you knew the truth about it. Okay. So all of these players are involved in this circumstantial case. There's no forensic evidence of any kind whatsoever. Michael's remains have never been found. But the problem here is that Stacey confessed, and he says he false confessed later to the world. He said that Michael was in the backyard and saw Adrian, a sublet that was just staying there at the time, and his wife burying Michael in the backyard. And then it became different stories over time that have evolved and de-evolved. Okay. But basically blaming everyone but him. Okay. And they said he told them to go look in the backyard because that's where he saw all of this alleged criminal activity happening, and no sign of Michael was found in that backyard. No evidence at all. There was a cadaver dog that was that they had deployed in November, which is a few months after Michael went missing, into the backyard of the Wondras, and it did not hit at all. At all. So why would it hit in 2022 when Stacey is allegedly false confessing to try to prevent his wife from getting a deal and him getting hemmed up on this, which ironically now he's on trial. It's a kind of a strange world, isn't it? Kind of a very vindictive prosecution, if you ask me. But however, either way you look at it, none of the evidence that they're suggesting the prosecution is adding up. There would be monumental things that I believe will come to fruition soon that will disprove little things one by one by one. And maybe you'll see that. Hopefully I'm not lagging, because it looks like I might be. I'm sorry if I am. Just let me know in the chat. I'm very paranoid about me lagging, because the last few lives have been just downright awful. So let's see what I sound like. Let's see. Hopefully I'm not lagging, because it looks like I might be. Cool. I'm not lagging. We're good. Eve, calm down. Calm down. All right, so what are we talking about today? I know that was a little long-winded, but I want to give the new viewers some information. We're talking about a motion to suppress. So there has already been some motions that were filed recently. A motion to dismiss based on a Idaho Code 19-815A, basically saying that the preliminary hearing was garbage. So there was a 3-day preliminary hearing in March of 2026 where the prosecution brought witnesses to testify on basically trying to prove to the judge there's enough probable cause to bind these charges for Stacey over to the district court, which it was successful. The defense, Stacey's defense team, is challenging this in district court because of a lot of things that happened or were portrayed in the preliminary hearing, and they kind of list out the issues of that. First of all, the biggest issue to me is that there is no evidence. There's no forensic evidence. 22,000+ pages of discovery, and not a single thing relates or points to a crime ever even happening, let alone how Stacey is trying to portray it at the time. All right. That is weird. Now, I'm sure the prosecution or somebody got a hold of a person for the news to say, hey, I'm a professional lawyer. I work at Boise State University or whatever. And I'm here to tell you that you don't have to have a body to convict on circumstantial evidence. Well, it's very rare that a no-body crime in Idaho, and I'm talking less than a percentage of a chance that it's successful, without corroborating witnesses that seen the crime happen, which nobody is saying, and 2, no forensic evidence of a crime ever occurring. So the chance of a jury convicting this man on circumstantial evidence, in my opinion, is less than 5%. Truly. If you base it on everything else that's happened in Idaho, which is there's only been one successful conviction of a no-body crime. And there was a witness that witnessed the crime, and there was DNA evidence to support what he was saying. That's the only way that this guy, I think it was in the 2000s, was convicted. I think her name was Rachel something. I'm so sorry, I forget the name, but she was murdered and put in the Snake River in Moscow, Idaho. But I believe she was from Lewiston, Idaho. And it was a horrific crime. But there was somebody that saw it happen, witnessed it, helped, etc. And that person was actually, ironically, charged with failure to report a death, which Stacey Wondra's wife was at the time of the search for the excavation of their home. But then they dropped those charges because it is a very faulty charge in itself. And what she said really didn't match up with what the law requires. So anyway, here we are now, years after the excavation, and not a peep about charges and things coming, and zero information from the prosecutor or the police. They're just saying, we're working on it. Charges will be coming soon. They arrest Stacey by extraditing him as he was finishing out his federal probation violations that he had acquired while he was out for a short stint. He was in Arizona, Maricopa County, and they extradited him from there to Idaho, and that's where we're at. So this motion to suppress is specifically about the statements that were leaked out by the mother of Michael Vaughan, who had her YouTube friend Clutch Them Pearls, aka Justin For All, request body cam footage and information about Stacey Wondra after he was a named suspect, a few months after the excavation happened in 2022. She got a hold of that information, which was supposed to be evidence, right? But somehow it's not the prosecutor's fault or anybody in Payette County. It's all Washington's fault for releasing that information. And so that was held on to for quite a bit of time until right either before the um, extradition of Stacey Wondra from Maricopa County, Arizona. That was released for the public. And what that was to make sure that that really sticks into everybody's mind before the trial starts. It was intentional, in my opinion, to get everyone on the page of this guy absolutely did it, because that's where the only evidence is that leaked footage of him being interrogated by police in a jail cell, or the holding facility at the prison he was at, rather. So it was intentional. It was something that was premeditated. And it's a problem. So these statements, this motion is about 50 pages worth of just downright goodness. And I believe in it. I believe in the innocence of these four suspects. If the prosecution is going to say that this is the crime that they are going to go with, that the evidence that there isn't any, if this is what they're saying, then they are innocent of the crime that they are being alleged, period. Because there's no forensic evidence of any kind. All they're basing it off of is, first of all, inferences, guesses, and what Stacey said, which you cannot convict on a kidnapping and murder charge on statements alone. There's elements that have to be met in these charges. Probable cause hearings, like the preliminary hearings, those are very low standards. This is a whole nother ballgame when you go into district court and you try to say, hey, the guy said he did it and that's that. And we have some canines that may or may not have hit, depending on, the handler and how they handled the dog. There could be some biases there. Whatever, it's faulty at best to use canine evidence. I'm sorry, it is. The canine cannot go under the stand and say, hello, good day, ma'am. Good day, sir. I did, in fact, alert to remains, and I can tell you who it is, which they can't anyway. So there's a lot of evidence that it could be cooked up really easily. Not one shred of evidence points to a crime even happening, let alone how Stacey Wondra says. Okay? And that's why I support not convicting someone on faulty circumstantial evidence, and I support his exoneration or acquittal, whichever one comes first. Hopefully, the acquittal happens immediately. We shall see. But that's what we're going to go over today. I'm going to go through the chat before we jump right on in. And I saw that Ketchup, that I went live and then they scheduled one as they were live. I mean, it's so if you're new here, like I said, I go for where the truth lies, not where everyone feels better about who they align with or whatever. I've always been a rebel that way. But it's because the truth matters. The truth is the only thing to chase. Yes, of course, you need to make sure to consider other people and victims and family members and stuff like that. However, I will always choose the truth over feelings any day. That's how I'm built. I am a person who has been affected by murder in my family. So I know firsthand what it does to a family. And everyone, does or deals with it differently. But this is how I deal with it. By exposing the truth. Because I didn't get to have that. We didn't get that for our loved one who was murdered while reading a Bible, trying to get some sleep. Shot twice in the chest. My grandmother, who I'm named after. So if you don't believe that, that's fine. But that's why I'm here. So the reason why Michael Vaughan's case is so important is because from the jump, I noticed that there was a lot of buffoonery going on with timeline changes and story changes, and then people from behind the scenes who were speaking to family were starting to uncover some confliction about hearing one thing versus another and not feeling right about it. And of course, you know me. Speak your truth, girl. And I was privy to information that was acquired over time, and that was it for me. Once you hear something like that, or things that don't add up, you can't go backwards. It's wrong in my heart. It's wrong to keep that secret to save people's feelings. I don't do it. I won't do it. Rip the Band-Aid. Right? And so here we are. So I am the number one most hated outside of the suspects, for anybody that believes these people are guilty or wants to hang their hat on that. I am the number one hated theorist or person to speculate on YouTube. No doubt about it. And I'm cool with that. I that's fine. But what I won't do is lie to you. You will be lied to habitually everywhere else you look. All right, I come here for the truth, not the spun bullshit. See? There you go. Thank you for being here. Here, says Brewbug. Thank you for being here. And I am sorry for being a little tardy. You know, as I say, if I'm not late, there's something wrong. But my system really needed a update badly, so I had to let it do its thing. Hello, Sunflower Soul. Good to see you. Bitch, please welcome in. I know my notifications never work, so it's all good. I'm just glad you're here, Chris, my girl. Good to see you. And anybody watching who doesn't chat, that's cool. Glad you're here. Hit that like button while you're here. Lurkers in the back or people who despise my ass, that's okay too. Hit that like button. Nobody has to know that you like the content or you at least like to watch it so you can talk shit later. It's cool. It's cool. We're all humans here. Just make sure to hit that like so that it gets out there. Miss Rubeg, you laughing at me, girl? I know. I'm a funny bunny sometimes. Okay. So this motion is lengthy. It can get quite boring and mundane. But we got to do what we got to do because Michael Vaughan needs the actual justice he deserves. And I think no one could quarrel with that. I would hope not. So we're going to pull it up and just get right in. Also, keep a lookout for a live that I am going to schedule soon about some recent videos, live streams that were done that point blank straight up lied about your girl Eve. I have never, not one time, ever given Stacey Wondra or anyone that was a suspect or is a suspect in Michael's case information to give to the public on my behalf as the truth. Everything that Stacey has said is his words and his experience way before I was even known or that we spoke. So if you hear something like, oh, I'm the one that told Stacey that about the kid 5 houses down on Southwest 8th, that is a bunch of malarkey. Like those things, there were so many lies I can't even remember them. There's just so many. But that one was just habitually has been a thing under the radar that hasn't been talked about, but I've heard that was said, and it finally came out, I think, yesterday or whatever. And hell no, that is not what I do. I've been blamed for editing Stacey's metadata from Google. There's no fucking way I could do that anyway. There's no way I could manipulate metadata. There's just no way. And when you see that the metadata is the metadata that I provided to the world, and it's in court and it's proven to be true, I don't expect an apology, and that's okay. I don't need your apology, but you might want to. It might help your cause out. It might be in your favor to do so. I might go easy on you. All right. Here we go, guys. Again, this is the motion to suppress defendant statement, Stacey Wondra's statements that he made while in the Washington County Jail where he was serving time for his federal gun charge unrelated to Michael. So basically what that is, real quick, his federal gun charge was that he acquired guns. He bought a gun and tried to sell it. He is a felon, his previous felonies. So you can't do that. That's against the law. That's a federal crime. And he was caught selling it at a gun shop, which he knew eventually would come back to him. But he just doesn't care because, people with fetal alcohol syndrome just do things and don't care about the consequences. And that's what happened. That's why he was arrested about a little less than a year before Michael, or after Michael went missing. All right. Okay, let's get into it. Any questions? Any concerns? Rue, hey love, I read all my commandments while leaning over and driving in residential areas. Good for you. Good for you. That's what you were laughing at, Rue, wasn't it? All right. So this is the memorandum in support of the motion to suppress. There was a hearing today, by the way, that was very boring and short. Basically, they are going to argue these motions on August 4th, I believe, or maybe August 11th, 12th, and 13th, something like that. But they're going to discuss some issues, and listen before I get into this. I want to make sure that I don't have any interruptions and my ADHD brain is rattling off things that I'm trying to remember. Please be on the lookout for something coming very soon. I've been saying that for the past few lives, but this is a different look out for something soon thing. It's very different. Holy shit. Holy moly. The prosecution, there are grave concerns. Grave concerns. And I'm pretty sure how the way Mike Duke looked today physically in court could tell you there's trouble. There's trouble afoot. Hello, Mr. Eve. Thank you for letting me go live while you and the boys go have fun. Thank you. I wonder why Michael had a history of roaming. KMA haters. Let's hope Bucky doesn't go missing next. That's terrible. That's terrible. Don't say that. And I know that the people on the other side are probably doing this to rile up some hate, but that's not right. I am pretty sure Stacey wasn't giving out looks today in court as said on the live. Oh, no. No, actually, the mean mugging apparently came from Brandy Vaughan herself, which is not intimidating, apparently, to some others. Oh, shit, is Tyler continuing the behaviors from that day? Potentially. Potentially, Chris. I have something to say real quick. There's a lot of talk about, you're going to hear about Stacey Wondra passing his polygraph test. Did you hear what I said? Stacey Wondra passed his polygraph. Boy, he actually does tell the truth here and there, doesn't he? I'm going to read that to you soon. Oh my God. My hand went up to my chest and I went, what? Because I wasn't sure. I don't know. I haven't seen the paperwork. But my goodness, there's no deception detected. But guess who did fail their poly? The father of Michael Vaughan. Now, that doesn't mean anything except for the fact that what was said about it is concerning. I have grave concerns and always have and always will. And we're going to go there because if you don't think that that's going to be a thing talked about, you're wrong. So the father had taken a polygraph test and he damn near flipped the table over and said, give me another one. But it was allegedly from the mother who told Chris Madonna from the interview room the details of this failed polygraph business, that it was about a question. It was about a specific question that Tyler Vaughan, the father of Michael Vaughan, failed when asked about, did you take Michael? I call horseshit. I haven't said that ever. Not one time in the 3.5 years or 4 years that I've been covering this case. But I'm gonna say it right now. Horse shit. That is not what happened. You could easily go find a 20-minute video about how polygraphs work, especially from the federal standpoint and local authorities. And what they will tell you is that there's a technique where, you ask a very basic question. Is your name this? Yes. Is the color of the wall this? Yes. Standard questions. And then they're going to ask you out of nowhere, do you know what happened to your son? No. They're not going to ask, did you take Michael? Which was the alleged question that was asked to Tyler from the polygraph examiner, per the mother. And what he said was, well, what do you mean? Well, that's no. These are yes or no questions. These are direct questions, not open-ended statements. So what was the question is what I wanted. What was the question that he bombed? Did you take Michael, or do you know where he is? Now, if you think about it, if there was deception detected on that, an actual deception from the polygraph examiner looking at the results and saying that's not right, what was the response? It couldn't have been, what do you mean, do I take Michael? Did I take Michael? I take Michael everywhere. No, they're going to say very specifically a question about, do you know where he is? Or did you take him somewhere else that day? I want to know, did you? Did the father of Michael Vaughan take Michael somewhere that day? I think everybody has skipped over that part for years. Because you want to support the family, right? You want to support the truth and things like that. So you don't really tiptoe into that whole polygraph situation because, Ted Bundy passed his polygraph too. Well, he's a psychopath. That's a little different than the normal average citizen. He was a serial killer. You can't use him as an example at all. What was the question? What was the answer? What was the follow-up question? What was that answer? To create a second line of polygraph test, a second polygraph test, wherein they say, we will never ask you to do this again. But here they can tell Stacey there was no deception detected, which I love that creator, by the way. But how about that, huh? How about that? That's not suspicious. But Stacey Wondra stopping at a splash pad hours before Michael was reported missing to go get his can of chew on the other side of his car. That's suspicious. I tell you, Karen Reed case has been a very influential part of my learning process on really just corrupt cases and police misconduct. It is starting to give the vibe more and more every single day, the more and more that I learn about this case, that this might be a smaller version of Karen Reed. I truly do. I hope that law enforcement isn't that downright awful, like in the Karen Reed case, but I don't know. We're going to see. Rue says, I don't know. Oh, it jumped. Sorry. 1 second. Where did it go, that comment? I don't know, but it was a little scary hearing that when he was the one supposed to be watching her. Oh, yeah, the live. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. On another live. How did he do this if he passed it? Right. Well, I mean, look, polygraph tests are not scientific. They have their issues and they're not reliable. But for the most part, they still use them, detectives do, during their investigation to kind of pivot them in the right direction sometimes. There was a case study that I covered for years and still do, where, parents who reported their child missing who actually ended up murdering their child, or their partner helped murder their child. They reported them missing when they knew damn well they had something to do with it. The case study said that 88% of the parents that agreed to take a polygraph failed them. That's a high percentage. That's like huge. So there might be some validity to those polygraph tests. It just depends, right? There's just caveats about it that you can't enter into as evidence, right? Say what? Weren't we always told by some that he failed? Right. Yes, Chris, we were always told that Stacey's a liar and that he either failed it or was never told that he passed it. We're going to get into it. Yeah, Tyler didn't pass his twice, is what was said, I'm sure in confidence, but that's not good. Those questions are very specific and explained, so there wasn't any room. Correct. And you will hear how the polygraph examiner explained to Stacey very specifically to avoid any caveats like that was allegedly done to Tyler. They clear that up very quickly. So I don't believe that story. Absolutely do not believe the polygraph story that was given about Tyler Vaughan. Absolutely don't. And that's third-hand information anyway. Answering the question with a question during a polygraph, why would that be necessary? It's not. It would not fly. Door handle check, always sus. Rue and I have been over this. Y'all, lean and drive. Listen. Stacey Wondra is a perfect example that it is more self-serving to just go ahead and endanger the lives of others by reaching and trying to get that can of chew than stopping at a splash pad or beside the road, because my God, you might become suspicious of a crime that you were nowhere near hours prior. My God, hellfire. Chris says, oh my gosh, that crazy lazy lady is trying to say there could be so many factors why a dog never hit. Yeah, well, that crazy lady is about to get debunked, I'm sure. There is actually only one that would be because Michael wasn't there. Yeah, it was somebody that maybe the scent was contaminated, of the original scent was contaminated, and it followed somebody in the home. Yeah. Damn right. Polygraphs are a tool. That's right. All right. So let's get off of the comments. Thank you so much for chatting in the chat. I really appreciate having people, express their concerns and opinions. It's awesome. All right. Let me take a drink. I'm parched already. Let me do some stretches. Oh, yeah. There we go. Crack my neck, pop my knuckles. Let's get into it. All right. In the District Court of the 3rd Judicial District of the state of Idaho, in and for the County of Canyon, this is case number CR 14-26-10252. Memorandum in support of the motion to suppress defendant statements in the state of Idaho versus Stacey James Wondra. Trial. Comes now. Stacey James Wondra by and through his attorneys of record, Mr. Geddes, Mr. Govia, Mrs. Broyles, from the Idaho State Public Defender's Office, and submits this memorandum in support of the motion to suppress defendant statements filed contemporaneously with this memorandum. Procedural history. I do like to highlight to keep up with where I'm at, because I am a squirrel. I have the worst ADHD in the world, and this helps me and you follow along. On June 25th, 2025, after almost 4 years after the alleged kidnapping and murder of Michael Vaughan occurred, The state filed a criminal complaint charging Stacey James Wondra, herein referred to as Stacey, with 3 criminal acts. Count 1, murder in the first degree. Count 2, kidnapping in the second degree. And count 3, destruction and or alteration and or concealment of evidence. The state also elected to file an information part 2 to enhance seemingly count 3 destruction of evidence charge from the possibility of a maximum sentence of 5 years to the now possibility of up to a life sentence. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. They elected to file an information part 2, which is the it's kind of like not a bill of particulars, but they basically asked the judge to change the premeditation later to just felony murder. As count 1 murder in the first degree and count 2 kidnapping of the second degree already carry the possibility of a life sentence. So the prosecution took off the premeditation part because they knew it probably wouldn't fly, and they'd have a better chance of just taking that off because the death penalty already lies in the count 1 murder and the count 2 kidnapping. Okay. The state charged count 1 as follows: that the defendant, Stacey James Wondra, on or about the 27th day of July, 2021, in the county of Payette, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and without malice aforethought, kill and murder Michael Vaughan, a human being, and or did willfully, unlawfully, and deliberately kill and murder Michael Vaughan, a human being, in the perpetration of or in the attempted perpetration of a kidnapping, which is count 2. Right? Now, the problem with this is that Stacey Wondra never admits to this, doing any of the crimes. But the state is trying to sway the facts of this case to suggest that these little nuances of case law could win a judge over that it is murder and kidnapping because, for instance, Stacey fixed the truck that took Michael to Cuna to go get the Mercedes that they were towing back from Brandon, one of the sublets at the time of the Wondra home. That was the premeditation, basically. That was an element for the kidnapping. They're also stating that the kidnapping is a longer process than just he was taken by Sarah and brought into the house, because he was still potentially alive on the way to Cuna, but was suffocated in the duffel bag. Okay, which, come on. Please. If he was in the back of that truck, if poor Michael was in the back of that truck, cameras would have caught that. Surveillance footage, which is everywhere on the highway. There's businesses that they would have seen a duffel bag back there. And that's what the state is saying happened. And you know damn well it didn't. State of Idaho did willfully and without lawful authority seizure and or confine and lead and entice Michael with the intent to cause him to be secretly confined or imprisoned, detained against his will without the state of Idaho. Finally, count 3, that Stacey, on or between that day, and in between that day and May 21st, 2025, did willfully destroy and or alter conceal a thing, to wit, a body and or DNA evidence, knowing that the thing or things were about to be produced, used, or discovered as evidence of a felony investigation or inquiry authorized by law, with the intent to prevent such evidence from being produced, used, or discovered, aka the metadata. That's what he says he did, but the phones are gone. Little does everyone know that the real reason Stacey gives later on as to why the phones were gone were because they weren't really his phones to have. You see, Stacey Wondra is always looking for a come up in the easiest way possible. That's how he survives because of his deficiencies. He's also very good at manipulation and very good at persuasion. So this alleged false confession or recanted confession is part of this behavior pattern of Stacey. And what he states is that those phones in itself, the phone, not what's in the phones themselves were used to benefit that weren't his to do. He basically sold phones that weren't his to sell because they were a business line. And these are nice iPhones at the time that were worth a lot of money. So do you see how that could be manipulated into destroying evidence when in reality there was just no evidence on it? The phones were just part of a different scheme that could be criminal. And I think that once people realize this little fact, it might make more sense. Okay, along with the criminal complaint, the state filed an affidavit of probable cause that primarily laid out the circumstances surrounding the disappearance of Michael Vaughan. Observations of Stacey Wondra, Sarah, Brandon, reports by neighbors about what they observed around the time of Michael Vaughan's disappearance on July 27, 2021, and the results of a live scent canine who showed interest in 2 areas, with one being near the house occupied by Stacey Wondra, Sarah Wondra, Brandon, and Adrian. Now, I do realize that Adrian's last name is different here. I think it's an error because his last name is, Lucian. I think it's just a Scrivener's error, so we're going to ignore that, but that should say Lucian unless he changed his last name, which I doubt. I don't know. But we'll just move on. So apart from observations about Sarah's change of behavior, as well as recitation of interviews that Stacey and Sarah participated in prior to the excavation in November, that's me saying that, prior to November 2022, the bulk of the evidence cited in the probable cause affidavit that connects Stacey to the crimes comes from statements made by Stacey on November 5th, 10th, and 11th of 2022 during interrogations by Detective Kelleher and Detective Crimin of the Fruitland Police Department, who were accompanied by Chris McDonough from the Cold Case Foundation, or it says Cold Case Solutions, but we know it's Cold Case Foundation. Maybe that's the business filing name. As well as phone calls made by Stacey to his adoptive mother, Tamara Johnson, here in reference as Tammy after these interrogations. Exhibit A. Now there's a footnote here, which you always want to read the footnotes. Okay. So let's look at footnote number 1 really quickly while it's on our minds. Footnote 1. When citing the contact with various people during the investigation by Detective Juanita Kelleher and Detective Scott Crimin of the Fruitland Police Department and Mr. Chris McDonough from the Cold Case Solutions, they are referred as the detectives jointly. And as it is difficult to tell who is asking questions or providing information at times. Right, because Crimin and McDonough sound the same sometimes. But when that lisp of McDonough's hits, then you know, oh, there's Chris. All right, let's scroll back up. Good to know. So the detectives are Kelleher, Crimin, and McDonough. Sunflower Girl says, don't get McDonough'd, y'all. Don't do it. On June 25th, 2025, the state filed a motion to disqualify Judge Jackson, and we went over that, and started issuing subpoenas for various documents during June and July of 2025. On July 22nd, 2025, the state filed a subsequent motion to disqualify Judge Stucklick, who is a district judge. On August 5th, Stacey, who had not been served the warrant and was serving time on a separate matter in Arizona, tried to get the process started by filing several pro se motions asking for counsel to be appointed. On November 12th, 2025, Judge Lee, Judge Lee, I can't tell you right now, but he's going to come up very soon. Judge Lee filed an order governing courtroom conduct, and the state public defender's office filed a request to appoint counsel to Stacey, as he was still not served that warrant on the pending case. There were movements going on behind the scenes of his charges that he didn't even know about. And the public defender finally, and when he didn't know about it, he had to get help from the public defender's office to assign him legal help. I mean, that's just ass backwards to me. My God, it's a Idaho for me. Don't do crimes in Idaho. It's a Idaho. On November 17, 2025, 5 months after the complaint was filed, Stacey was served the warrant on this matter and the criminal prosecution began. Judge Meyenhofer advised Stacey of his rights via a video appearance as Stacey was in Arizona. The state public defender's office was appointed to represent Stacey, and Stacey was held on a no bond hold. With Stacey transported back to Idaho, a status conference was held on December 11, 2025, and then that preliminary hearing was set for March 3rd, 4th, and 5th of 2026, which I've gone over all of that testimony, and what a ride, I tell you. Really quickly, I'm going to check in my chat. Well, defense finally had to rat out McDonough since they weren't going to say anything about him being there. Yeah, well, maybe not. I don't know. Brandy said today that the defense is doing a crappy job, but I just don't see it. Oh, no, they're not. You just hang on. No, they're not. That would be, in my opinion, the prosecutor. And the way he looked today in court says it all. During the preliminary hearing in March 2026, the state filed an amended complaint dismissing the alternate theory of murder in the first degree by premeditation, as I said earlier. That was filed on March 5th, 2026. The case was ultimately bound over to the district court where Stacey was arraigned on April 3rd, 2026 by Judge Stucklick after Judge McCarthy disqualified himself for cause at the defense request. At the arraignment, Stacey entered pleas of not guilty to all 3 counts. Not guilty. He didn't do a Brian Koberger and just sit there in silence. Nope, he said not guilty. On April 15th, 2026, the case was scheduled for trial to begin on September 14th, 2026. And on April 24th, Judge Whiting signed an order extending time to file any motions to dismiss by August 1st, 2026, or any motions, Rule 12B motions, excuse me. This motion is hereby brought under that Rule 12B, which is a suppression motion, as well as the 5th and 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution in Article 1, Section 13 of the Idaho State Constitution. Whoa. So we have 5th and 14th Amendment amendments that they are citing for this motion to suppress his statements. The only evidence, the only actual evidence of involvement, if you want to call it that. Now, this little footnote cracked me the hell up. You'll see it right here, that number 2 here. The statement of facts, 2. And I was like, I bet you there's going to be a footnote saying this ain't the actual facts. We're not stating these are the actual facts of the case. And that's exactly what it was. So I'm going to read it to you. 2. Footnote 2. Any fact stated in this memorandum and argued at a subsequent hearing is not a stipulation to said fact at later hearings or at a later jury trial. The purpose of the statement of facts is to provide context for the court to consider the motion to suppress in its full nature. Basically, we're not arguing that this is the actual facts or that anything said in here is stipulations to the facts. This is just what the prosecution is saying. Okay, on July 27, 2021, around 6:30 p.m., Michael Vaughan walked away from his house on 911 Southwest 9th Street, Fruitland, Idaho, and was never spotted again. To this day, Michael Vaughan remains missing and is presumed deceased. On July 27, 2021, in a separate subdivision, Stacey Wondra, along with his wife Sarah Wondra and roommates Adrian Lucian and Braden Shirtliff, were home around 6:30 p.m. Earlier that day, Stacey, who owned a taxi company, had taken a customer from Ontario, Oregon to Boise, Idaho. Stacey left the area around 3:24 p.m. and returned around 4:54 p.m. So we have an actual time, because Ms. Kelleher on the stand at the prelim hearing was like, I might be a minute or two off, don't quote me, but it was around 5. So now we have a concrete time, 4:54 p.m. The time frame is verified by surveillance video surrounding the splash pad park that Stacey stopped at on the way out of the neighborhood. Sarah, Brandon, and Adrian had also left the neighborhood around 3:30 p.m. and returned around 5 p.m. This is crazy, y'all. This next part, listen up, wake up, because it's very important. From 5 p.m. to 7:08, none of the vehicles that the Wondras owned, including the maroon GMC truck, a white Lexus car, and a blue Toyota car, were seen on the various surveillance videos in the neighborhood. Not just one. Listen up, please. Multiple surveillance videos did not capture any of the vehicles that the Wondras drove or owned. But we have a problem here. Let me change the coloring because this is important. I hate that peachy color anyway. Blah. We must change it. I cannot. Much better. Okay. So, Sarah was supposedly going to, Sarah and Brandon allegedly went to Ontario, Oregon, which is just, a 7-minute drive, if that, maybe, over the bridge of the Snake River into Oregon from Fruitland. So if the detectives are saying that, there's video footage of the blue Toyota Corolla going to Ontario in between 5 and 7, but the defense is stating that they did not, who's lying? Who is there a mistake made on one side or the other? I'm not being facetious. I'm actually concerned. Like, I'm not understanding this, because the probable cause affidavit says that Sarah and Brandon come back out of the neighborhood after they get home at 5:12, or leaves at 5:12 from the Nampa trip earlier that day. They were already in Nampa earlier that day and came back in. So, what? Who is that? Who is the blue Corolla? Is it just a circumstance of there was another Corolla that was blue that drove through? Was it them? But the probable cause says that their metadata confirms it. Is there an issue with the metadata? I am so concerned. Call the admin. You have to ask my administration. You would have to ask my administration. Who would that be? Well, Detective Cy Armstrong at the time. He's now retired. Or Captain Cy Armstrong. J.D. Huff, Benjamin Key, the canine guy, and Crimin. Those are the administration. Okay. After Sarah, Brandon, and Adrian arrived home, Sarah and Stacey assisted Brandon with towing his vehicle that was non-operational at his mother's house in Kuna, Idaho, back to their residence in Fruitland, Idaho. Sarah, Stacey, and Brandon left for this errand and were observed at 7:08 p.m. leaving the neighborhood. Huh. Say what? So they didn't go anywhere after 4:54 when they got back. When did Stacey get back again? Let me see real quick. Stacey left the area around 3:24 and then came back at 4:54. And you have all seen that I've showed that he was at the Albertsons in Payette, which is about 8 to 12 minutes drive from the home, where Brandy was working that day. Ironically, he had taken somebody to the A&W across the street from the Ontario side of things, allegedly, and then was in the Albertsons pharmacy parking drive-through, and he took a photo. Stacey Wondra took a photo, and the Google data stamped it at 3:45. Like, that's a fact, Jack. They're arguing that. So, man, Stacey has some kahunas to go to the mother's work of the child that he's allegedly kidnapping soon. Boy, I tell you, that's a set of balls. The audacity. If you believe it. If you believe that nonsense. But, so Stacey comes back at 4:54, and Sarah, Brandon, and Adrian had returned home around the same time. He went to the A&W. That's suspicious. Well, not if you're Stacey Wondra. But if you're a rider from Ontario to I guess, go eat some A&W food, which you could have done that in Ontario, so being dropped off at A&W was probably suspicious. You're right. All right, so 5 o'clock. So we're going to round it to 5. That everybody comes back from their long day of driving and doing the things at 5. The problem is what the detectives are saying happened in between 5 and 6. So just mark that in your mind. Okay, cell phone records show that Sarah, Stacey, and Brandon went to Kuna, Idaho, and returned to Fruitland, Idaho around 11:30 p.m. All right, so from 7:08 to 11:30 p.m., God, I just love timeline confirmations. It's so great because you couldn't get that anywhere in the 4 years that I've been searching. Couldn't do it. When Sarah and Stacey and Brandon returned, they observed a gathering of people, as well as a fleet of police officers searching the area for Michael Vaughan, who was still missing. Okay. In the subsequent days and months, Fruitland Police Department, along with the FBI, searched for Michael Vaughan. The investigators watched hundreds of hours of surveillance video and canvassed the neighborhood, searching houses as well as backyards and interviewing anyone who was home when the canvass efforts took place on August 1st and 2nd of 2021, which is crucial. That was when Banshee, the cutie patootie bloodhound, who was an excellent scent trailing, not tracking, trailing. Because you must know that if somebody is walking down the street, your scent particles are falling behind you. Wind can pick up those scent particles and put them in the tree. They can put them down the stream if there's a river, let's say, a mile away. Scent travels. So these scent trailing dogs like Banshee, a bloodhound, a cutie, Rest in peace, sweet girl. She died a few years ago, I think, or a year ago. They're basically tracking a cone of scent is the best way to describe it. They're kind of trailing and seeing where they could potentially be. And sometimes scent particles will kind of gather in one place and kind of hold there, because that's where the point of not going any further is. For instance, a corner in a building. Irrigation is a perfect example, because it's kind of like a trap house for those scent baddies, those scent particles. Okay, on November 2nd, 2021, while watching surveillance video, Detective Kelleher found it peculiar that a man would stop at a splash pad, park for less than a minute about 3 hours prior to the disappearance of Michael Vaughan, and get out of his vehicle and walk around to the passenger side trying to open the passenger side front door. Oh my God. I have never heard of such insanity personally. And I will say this every time I read something like this in these motions, because just because something happened later doesn't mean that a person is automatically thinking in that way hours beforehand. Unless you see Stacey Wondra jiggling the door handle, looking at the kids, peeking behind a pole, having some binoculars, going, yeah, that's the one. Calling his friends and saying, get over here. Prime picking. Absolutely erroneous to me. Less than a minute. You know what sounds more plausible to me? His can of chew slid under the seat. And he had a big belly. He was pushing 450 pounds. I think even 500, actually. And he couldn't get it. So he parks that. Where did he want him to park? In the middle of the fucking road? That would be more suspicious. It would be more suspicious if he parked on Cornwall Way and snuck over to the side gate that, splits the splash pad and the housing there, and peeking over the fence. Okay, now look, we have a problem. But that didn't happen. He went to the park for less than a minute, went around, tried to get this chew out, but his door was locked, and he went, shit, cool, and went about his business. That's more plausible than what Detective Kelleher is saying. I'm sorry. Convince me otherwise. Okay. From watching that video, Detective Kelleher identified the man as Stacey, who lived at 1102 Red Wing Street in Fruitland, Idaho, herein referred to as the Red Wing House, and began tracking Stacey's vehicle movements. So now does it make sense as to why Stacey said, I'm getting rid of my phones way later on, because I don't want to be fucking followed? Because they were following him as early as November of 2021. I would be the same way. I'm like, look, you ain't going to hem me up on this shit. I'm changing carriers. Get out of my face. I'm from the South. We don't play. If you're going to surveillance me, you're going to hear about it. First of all, you're going to be ratted on for it. And I'm getting a new phone. Period. Y'all aren't going to hem me up on something. We don't trust our government with just blindness over here. And honestly, you shouldn't either, but that's your thing. Stacey, along with Sarah and Brandon, had left the area around 7 p.m., which contradicted an informal interview that occurred on August 1st, 2021, during the neighborhood canvass. So that August 1st interview that, they said Adrian Lucien was hiding in the closet, which I was told by each person that was false, except for himself. Adrian, I haven't talked to him. But that is why this came about. Because of the neighborhood canvass, the Ada County Police or whoever it was that wrote down the information either wrong or misheard, or the suspects said it exactly the way it was written. Either way, the truth of it was not matching what was written. In that interview, it was reported that they had woken up at noon, stayed home all afternoon, and left the area on the day of Michael's disappearance around 5 and returned around 8. Okay. Hell, at least that timeline was given. The family members can't tell you shit about the time. We're not really too good about time around here. I don't know when Grandpa left. I don't know. All I know is I went to work here and came home when I got the call. Based on this, Detective Kelleher paid Stacey and Sarah Wondra a visit on November 15, 2021 to request that a cadaver canine search in their backyard at the Red Wing house and question Stacey and Sarah about where they were on July 27th, 2021. So very early on, they're looking at Stacey and Sarah in particularly because of, let's say it all together, circumstantial issues. Circumstantial little things. Not anything huge. Okay? So, and that's good. That's good to hone in on little things and clear that up, because it's usually the little things that get missed. So I do applaud them for at least that. But you can't rest your case on it. You know? While the cadaver canine were still searching the backyard, Detective Kelleher questioned Stacey in the house. After the cadaver canine did not alert on the backyard, Detective Kelleher asked Stacey and Sarah to accompany her to the Fruitland Police Department. Stacey and Sarah agreed and met with Detective Kelleher and Detective Crimmin. So it seems to me like the detectives were looking at the time around 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. In Idaho, the sun doesn't set until damn near, 9:30 in the summer. So I could see how somebody from Montana or somebody, I don't know, not thinking, said 5 to 8 when it could have been 7 to 11. Some people aren't good with time. It doesn't mean that you're hiding anything unless you see some evidence to suggest that. Shit, I get time wrong all the time. I'm horrible about it. While being interviewed by Detective Crimmin, Stacey informed him that on that day, he went fishing with Sarah and Brandon, which that's new to me because they went fishing the day before. Metadata shows this. But maybe he thought it was that day. It was a few months later. Give him the benefit of the doubt, my God. If the family members can't get their timeline together, I think it's egregious to pinpoint and nitpick every little thing that they say about a timeline when it's not too far off. It's just there's little issues, not big ones. You don't just forget the whole goddamn day, as others have said that are close to Michael. You can never forget that day. At least they're trying here. That's what I'm trying to get at. Then around 3 p.m., he went to run an errand, and they left around 5:30 to get Brandon's car from his mother's house in Cuna, then drove back to Fruitland, arriving around 8:30 p.m. Okay? So this form or this interview that we didn't get to see, there's an exhibit that has this information, which I'm very interested to actually see a physical copy of this report or this interview with Crimmin. When Detective Crimmin suggested that Stacey was lying to him, Stacey informed Crimmin that he would take a polygraph examination to prove that he was not lying or involved. He said, "Square up, Crimmin. Strap up on that thing. Tell your little buddies, your polygraph buddies, give me one. Bet." Stacey then goes on to tell Detective Crimmin that during the polygraph, he will answer questions about his mental disabilities, that he has been diagnosed with fetal alcohol syndrome, which he has, and he has an IQ of 69, and that is true. I've seen it with my own peepers. You just have to take my word for it, okay? I've never seen Stacey on a live asking anyone to help him make up a timeline. Never. And I certainly didn't do it. And you better come with receipts if you said that, because I am offended. Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby, because I will come for you in a legal sense. Don't lie on me like that. What time did Monkey go missing? Says Curse with Curiosity. Well, there's no proof of it except for what the father states, which was around 6:15, 6:30. There's no proof that anyone saw him otherwise except for a registered sex offender who was the actual neighbor of the Wondras. And that's a whole nother suspicious thing. I feel like she's lying, but that's up for you guys to decide, not me. Or matter of fact, a jury, not really us. But Dorothy Starkey, the neighbor who had access to the Wanderers home, who stayed there for a while after Michael went missing, or during the time Michael went missing, said that she allegedly saw Michael riding a tricycle with flip-flops on, mind you, a pink potential tricycle at Meadowlark and Red Wing, which is just down the street from the Wanderers home. But that was never caught on CCTV footage, and it would have been. I think she's lying. What do you guys think? If you're listening and you've watched this case for a while, let me know your thoughts on that, because I'm very interested. Okay. So 6:30. The short version, Curiosity, is 6:30-ish. From November 23rd, 2021 to April 11th, 2022, the Fruitland Police Department, alongside the FBI, issued warrants for email records, phone records, social media records, and various other records for Sarah, Stacey, and Brandon Shurtleff. Do I know why the FBI was looking into them? I have no earthly idea. The only thing that I could think of, guys, is because the registered sex offenders next door who were communicating with the Wondras and Brandon Shurtleff, who did not know of their crimes. Okay, they had moved into that residence, meaning the Wondras, after Starkey. So they were it was circumstantial at that point. But they didn't know of their crimes until this case started. Okay? And I personally have the receipts on the conversations about the Starkeys in between Brandon and Stacey on Facebook. And you will probably see it one day in court. But it's going to clear up a lot of what the lies have been told out there about their relationship. All right, police also seized the GMC truck. The red GMC truck that I told you about. They got it from Kim's Cars, and I showed the receipt that Sarah and Stacey actually left a review on their website saying, "Thank you, Kim's Cars," which Kim's Cars is no longer in business, I believe, or they changed names, whatever. I think it was in Meridian. Is it Caldwell, Meridian? One of those. Maybe in Nampa. Okay, so police also seized the GMC truck that was repossessed and bought a couch that Stacey had sold on Facebook on April 11th, 2022. Hold up. Wait. Huh? You bought a couch that Stacey had sold on Facebook. So basically the detectives acted as street folk and bought this couch off of whoever bought it in April of 2022, but I have information that there was a couch bought in November of 2021. Whose couch was that? That's in records, boo. I've showed it. That was in November of 2020. What? Who had a brown couch in 2021? I'm confused. We'll have to recircle back to that. Okay. What reason would she have to lie in such a case, right? Who exactly? Which person? Just to make sure I'm on the same page. Sarah was involved in a separate criminal action where she was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon enhancement against a roommate. Tanner Butler, T-bone looking ass. If you don't know, if you're new here, Tanner came around in April of 2022 acting a fool. And, he's part of the Hendon, what's their other last name? I'm so sorry. Sato group. The Satos, people, if you know, the farming community out there. Ironically, I think there's a Sato that works for the prosecution, but I digress. That's his family. He came over. He said that he was going to help drive the taxi, going to help things, and he ended up just singing like a canary about the gun stuff on Stacey and Sarah when Sarah told him to get the bleep out of her house because it was her anniversary day and he was being too controlling and wanted to cook dinner or something. I think there's more to it than that. I think Stacey might have been acting up because Tanner was acting out and drunk. That's Sarah told me that he was drunk. Tanner Butler. And she put a gun to his face and said, "You want to get out of my house like I told you, fool?" And he was scared for his ever-loving life, and he cried like a sissy lala, and he called the cops, which is his right to do, don't get me wrong. But then all of a sudden he started talking about, they've got guns, I saw this and that. He's a tattletale. He tattled on the Wondras, and here they are in federal prison in 2022 on poor Stacey and Sarah's anniversary because Tanner wanted to act a fool and got embarrassed for getting a gun put to his face. He literally said in the report, "I've never had anyone crazier put a gun to my face." And I'm like, Tanner, how many people are putting guns to your face? You might be the problem. It's me. Hi. Tanner's the problem. It's Tanner. Okay. As part of the investigation into the separate criminal action, Stacey consented to the police searching for the house as well as the backyard of Red Wing. Separate criminal action. That would be the Tanner Bone incident. Due to a firearm being involved, as well as the purchase and selling of a firearm by Sarah and Stacey as convicted felons, they were charged each with federal gun charges, which Stacey and Sarah were indicted on May 10th, 2022, and arrested May 11th, 2022. Now, that's not, in my opinion, entirely accurate, but it's good enough. It's good enough. Because Sarah was arrested locally in Payette on the 13th of April for the Tanner dog bone incident. And Stacey was then arrested on May 10th, put in Payette. They dropped the charges locally and it went federal, and they picked his ass up on the 18th, okay? So that's technically not right, but it's enough. Stacey and Sarah were charged as co-defendants on the federal gun charges, which I didn't know that they were charged as co-defendants. That's interesting because they were separate case numbers. I'm learning something new. Interesting. Okay. After arrest for the federal gun charges, Sarah and Stacey were interviewed by the FBI on May 18, 2022. Okay, so here comes Stacey. Sarah was already put in the slammy in Washington County Jail in Weiser, Idaho. Here comes Stacey when he was indicted and transported to Washington County Jail. So they were both there at the same time, okay? On May 18th of 2022. They were already being looked at by federal investigators and the Fruitland Police since November of 2021 for some odd reason. So this should be the breaking point. This should be where it opens up, right? And it does for the Fruitland Police, but where did the FBI go? Where did the FBI branch off and go away? Because we haven't heard much from them since May of 2022, which I will tell you that some of the agents that worked on this case were working on the Lori Vallow Daybell case and that murder trial with JJ and Tylee. So they were pulled in many different directions at the time. Maybe that's it. I don't know. The interview for both Sarah and Stacey quickly morphed into an investigation of Michael's disappearance. Oh, how that works. Do not talk to the police ever, ever, never, ever, never, ever, without a lawyer. Like, literally never. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, never. You'll end up like Stacey. During Stacey's interview, he informed FBI agents Russell Nimmo, who is a gang drug task force agent, specialist, that he had nothing to do with Michael Vaughn's disappearance and requested to take a polygraph. examination regarding any involvement. After his interview, a polygraph examination was administered by Michael Spitzer, with the results being reviewed by Leah Gunderson. Prior to the examination, Stacey was provided with his Miranda rights and signed a consent to the examination May 18th of 2022. How interesting. So I got to write that down. I have said that May 18th was the date that he got the polygraph, but I literally have to check off that it's confirmed now because I'm that anal about being right, or correct rather, or, thorough about things that I know, but I don't know. So this one I know for sure. Check mark. All right. Stacey and the FBI Spitzer discussed terminology and meaning of certain words so that the polygraph results were not skewed based on the meaning of the word, such as how it included kidnapping and participate, which include plan, assist, know of in any way, help, or even be aware of the events surrounding the disappearance. So it's very interesting to me that last night of all nights, Tyler gets asked, "Oh, I don't know if he ever told me what he was asked." Well, that's a lie, Brandy Neal. That's a lie because you said it to Chris McDonough that he told you where he failed on the polygraph test. This is very important. You're not going to skirt around this one over there. You're not going to do it. Because if you fail a question, you fail a question. They give you very specific details of what they're going to do in this polygraph examination. So don't give me the bullshit. What was the real question? Even Stacey Wondra can follow these instructions, so don't go there with me. It really pisses me off. Oh, thank you. 250 clapping seals. That's cute. So what do I do with those? I don't even know. You're going to have to explain it to me, Chris, after this live. But thank you so much, love. Okay. The examination consisted of several questions, including 1, did you take Michael? And 2, did you participate in the disappearance of Michael? The result indicated no deception indicated. Oh my God. That's how I feel right now on your screen. Thank you, Chris. You're still going to have to explain to me what I can do with this. Thank you so much. You are the best. So, again, did you participate in the disappearance of Michael? The results indicated no deception indicated. Oh, it turns into money. Okay. Thank you. You'll have to tell me how that works. Okay, because does it just do it automatically? I don't know. We'll talk. I'm showing my age and my not knowing how social media works in the current age, okay? But the results indicated no deception. But Tyler Vaughan fails a question because it was poorly misstated or whatever. Bullshit. It just didn't happen that way. So what was the question that Tyler was asked specifically? And what was his specific answer to fail that question? I want to know. After the examination, Stacey told the interview, I think she meant interviewee or interviewer, that he had nothing to do with the disappearance and would do whatever he could to assist in finding the child. He was even willing to, even after being accused and investigated by the police, he still wanted to help. Wow, that's kind. I would have been like, get out of my fucking face, guys. What else do I need to tell you? Okay, so he also stated he was aware that he would be in jail for the federal charges he's facing, but provided that if he can assist in locating Michael Vaughan, he would. This is a very crucial thing. You might not think it's a big deal, but it's a huge deal. Because everyone was under the assumption that when you jump from May 2022, which is where this polygraph examination is taking place at that time, you jump to November 2022 when detectives are back at it again. Back in the saddle, the Stacey Wondra saddle. Okay? he already said that he would be willing to help them if they needed it to help find Michael. But there's a new caveat this time. There was a deal being spoken of, and you're about to find out, as I've been saying for weeks and weeks, months. Oh no, I'm going robot. Hold on. 1 sec. Make sure that the kids' devices and yours are on hotspot, Mr. Eve. Please do that. Turn off the Wi-Fi's of the kids' stuff and put it on hotspot. Is it better now? Just let me know. I knew it was coming. Where's my phone? I will see if I'm sorry, guys. It happens just when everybody's home using the interwebs. Ooh, Candace Owens. Yahoo offered to take TV. Sorry. Obsessed with the Charlie Kirk Sham. Oh, they're on your hotspot. Am I still roboting? Turn off. To the chat. While Stacey was in custody, his phone calls and jail mail were monitored by Fruitland Police Department. Detective Kelleher noticed that Stacey had a strong relationship with his adoptive mother, Tamara Johnson. Listen to what this bitch did. So Detective Kelleher reached out to her on June 2nd, 2022. Ew. I don't believe you. Okay, hold on. Ew. June 2nd. I'm not. We're better. Okay. Yeah, they're killing me. The internet's killing me. All right. So, where was I? Sorry, squirrel. So, June 2nd, what was that, 2 weeks after the polygraph test where there was no deception detected? She's back at it. Kelleher's like, I'm not letting this go. You can pass your damn polygraph all you want to, son of a bitch. And your wife, too. I'm coming for you. So I'm going to reach out to Mama because Mama is very important to Stacey. That's his only, support system left in the world besides his wife. So on June 2nd, she reaches out to his mama, his adoptive mother. I swear to God, if there's no sound, I'm gonna scream. I really am. Support I hear myself. What are you talking about? In the world besides his wife. What are you talking about? So on June 2nd, she reaches out to his mama, his adopted mother. I think y'all are fibbing. I think y'all are messing with me. Because I hear myself on my own live. Okay. I think there's a severe delay in the chat versus, okay. I'm just going to keep going. So Sarah was released in late June 2022 and began to reside at Red Wing House awaiting the resolution of the federal gun charges. In October of 2022, Detective Kelleher and Detective Crimmins engaged Mr. McDonough from the Cold Case Solutions to assist them with their investigation. I thought that was earlier than that. Are you sure? Okay, good. I'm sorry, guys. So, as part of this assistance, on October 13th, 2022, they stopped by Red Wing House where they had a conversation with Sarah. That is an interesting day. Because she goes to, oh my God, she goes to the Looney area. In Blackfoot, Idaho, she is called a welfare check on, or somebody did, and she goes to mental health treatment. I'm almost positive this bitch. Anyway, let me repeat that. As part of this assistance, on October 13th, 2022, they stopped by Red Wing House where they had a conversation with Sarah. Is this in the freaking dispatch log? It better be. You're supposed to tell your dispatch people where you're stopping. Kelleher. Better be in there. During October 2022, Sarah's mental health was poor. It absolutely was. There's a picture of her rolling in the damn driveway that her neighbor took of her because she was just not right. You have to also understand she was diagnosed with schizophrenia after after the excavation when she went to the loony bin. And she's type 1 diabetic, I believe, insulin dependent. All right. Let me check in with the up-to-date chat. Okay, good. Between October 13th and October 20th of 2022, Fruitland Police Department were dispatched to Red Wing House at least 5 times for welfare checks. See what I'm talking about? I haven't read further than this, guys, so this is a surprise. All right? I know what I'm talking about. That is insane. I'm so pissed off. Between October 13th and October 20th of 2022, Fruitland Police were dispatched to Red Wing House at least 5 times for welfare checks for Sarah praying in the front yard for hours on end. Interesting. On October 20th, 2022, after Sarah was questioned by the detectives and Mr. McDonough, they prayed with Sarah on her driveway and then sought an involuntary commitment. Let me say that one more time. I'm about to lose it in anger. You son of a bitch, McDonough. Are you kidding me? On October 20th, 2022, after Sarah was questioned by the detectives and Mr. McDonough, they prayed with Sarah on her driveway and then sought an involuntary commitment. You son of a fucking bitch. If this does not scream set up by an outside source, I am livid. Her mother lives just behind them. Sarah's mother lives 3 houses away. You couldn't go tell her? Did you tell her? I hope you did. I am so pissed right now. The audacity from Mr. McDonough to go interview and talk to the family, profit off of it, and then go fuck with people's lives on the other side of the subdivision or on the subdivision across the street. How dare you? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that they could hear that. Well, why don't you not listen? Let them listen to that. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Wow. I'm so pissed or upset. I really am. Anyway, during this time, The detectives reached back out to Tammy. Here we go. They're going back to the mother. Do you see how this is giving corrupt? Do you see how this could give setup by people who have the authority to do so, to help along with that? So I'm not the only one, huh? That feels this way? Okay, good. Yeah, this is not okay. You have a detective giving her a commitment. And then she gets arrested for failure to report a death, dude. Y'all were the reason she was going insane. Y'all made her crazy, committed her ass, and then used it against Stacey and her. I am sick to my stomach. You're pathetic over there. And it's officially on this channel. I'm gonna bite my tongue. It's not officially anything. I'm gonna keep going and rein in on my anger. I'm pissed. During this time, the detectives reached back out to Tammy and started sharing information with her about the investigation, as well as the possibility that Sarah was trying to reach a deal in her federal case. Oh! When Miss Eve gets squeaky, I'm raging. During this time, the detectives reached back out to Tammy and started sharing information with her about the investigation. Oh, so that's where Stacey Wondra got his information from, huh? So, Detective Kelleher, you liar, you were feeding it to Tammy, like I've been saying, and Tammy was feeding it back to him. That's why we didn't get to hear the other video phone calls of Stacey's mother, because it would look bad, wouldn't it? Because you were feeding shit to her, she was telling him what was being said, and it fed right back into the interview. Corruption, 100%. And I hope you all get in trouble for it some way or somehow. Fuck y'all. Y'all are trying to kill an innocent person. And y'all, in my opinion, are intentionally infiltrating through the mother to get him to false confess. This was a fucking setup if I've ever seen one. I'm sorry. Do not let the kids hear this. Please don't. Because I can't help it. I'm so mad. I knew that this was what it was. I knew it. And how could y'all do that to a family who wants answers? How could you? I see y'all for who y'all are. And y'all better start doing the right thing. Duke, do the right thing, bro. Because you know it. Whew. As the detectives were feeding Tammy this information, she would in turn talk to Stacey over the phone about what she was being told by the detectives. Oh, my lordy, I need a chill pill. Help me, Lord. As the detectives were feeding Tammy this information, she would in turn talk to Stacey over the phone about what she was being told by detectives. Okay, so I would assume the toy business, the shoes, the evidence that didn't exist, guys, there's none. And Tammy lied to me because she said it was all circumstantial. Now I know, Tammy, why you were so upset when I talked to you. Because you knew and felt horrible about kind of sort of aiding and abetting his own false confession. I feel for you, and I will pray for you, because that must be an awful feeling. I'm sorry, but you did that. You aided and assisted in his false confession. And I know that wasn't your intention, but you did it. This is evident during several recorded jail conversations. On October 21st, 2022, Tammy told Stacey, yeah, gloves are off. It doesn't matter. You could do whatever you wanted. Say whatever you wanted. Everything is coming out. It is time. This is really pissing me off. Quote, they can only tell me so much, but they are. The reason they called me is because if you do know something, they know your circumstances. They know that you aren't in a place to be able to take care of yourself. Oh. Oh. Goose Fraba. And they know that she may or may not say something about you. That is a textbook FBI case study of how you get coerced, compliant confessions. This is how you do it. Uh-oh, my babe's crying. Hold on, guys. 1 sec. Sorry, Mom, chaos life. Everything's good. They don't know what she is going to say, but the fact that she said, hey, I know something about Michael. They wanted me to let you know that she's doing to be what? They wanted me to let you know that she's doing going to be doing that. So if there's anything like I said, half truths or anything that might make you look even a little bit guilty, oh my God. Guys, I think I might have to wrap it up here and go live again in about an hour because my blood pressure is making me shake. I fucking knew it. I have been saying this whole time that this is fishy. And I just didn't know how much of a weasel Cadaver was. And now I know you're single-handedly helping your family friends. That's what you're doing. I'm so pissed. Okay, if you know something, you got to say it. You're so busy telling me that you don't know anything, and yet all of these things are pointing to your guys' house. What things? The cadaver dog not alerting in November of 2021? That thing? Oh, I'm so mad. During the phone call, Tammy told Stacey that he would break her trust if she finds out that he has been lying to her. Wow, here's the psychological breakdown. I wonder if Chris Madonna helped Cadaver with this. Or if Cadaver is just a slimy asshole. Just because that's who she is. I don't know. On October 25th, 2022, Tammy tells Stacey that Sarah has made an appointment. Oh, Miss Cadaver, you fucking bitch. This is worse than I could have ever imagined. I had little hope hanging on to the fact that maybe this is all just a misunderstanding. No, you were intentional. Y'all were intentionally setting these fucking people up. Sickening. So y'all are hiding something. Who are y'all hiding then? Who is it y'all are helping out? That's going to be my next quest. That's my new sleuth. Good job. Sarah had made an appointment with her attorney. She's going to talk to them. I got a call from the detectives today, and I need to ask you some questions. The story that you told me about leaving at 3:30 and coming home at 7:30, I know that's not true. They sent me photos with the timestamps of when you left and when you came home. You left the house at 7:08, not 3:30. You did leave the house at 3. You went to the splash pad, okay? Okay! Tammy, that's not a big difference. It really isn't. And he got 2 different times of going places confused. Right? I mean, that makes sense. Like he's he's not technically wrong. He's just thinking in a different time section of that day. But who cares, right? Like, if they didn't get caught on camera kidnapping a child, why does it matter? I'm so upset. Tammy went on to tell Stacey that they have something that Brandon has said. They have Sarah going to talk to. I am telling you, I'm trying to help you here. Bless her heart, I bet she feels awful. And I don't mean to be disrespectful towards Tammy at all right now. I'm more upset at the fact of the police manipulating her. Shame on y'all. Tammy also tells Stacey that they have some forensic evidence that they can't tell me about. What evidence? You liar. So that's what Tony Geddes meant when he said, we know that it's a tactic that, police lie to suspects, right? And she goes, no, I'm truthful in my everyday honest life. I live by the code of honesty. Bullshit. I think Stacey Wondra's more truthful than you. That's not a good thing to say. So here's footnote number 3, very important. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to have to probably go live here in a little bit when I'm not so frustrated because I'm becoming someone that I don't want to be while reviewing this, because it's very important and sincerely important to me and others who have been following this case that know and have seen the bullshit. But I did not read this yet, and I should have. My apologies from my mouth. I am just really, it's been 4 years of hell. All coming out at once right now. And I'm tired of the lies that these parents are saying. Enough. Footnote 3. This is untrue, as evidence in the preliminary hearing transcript. See the reporter's transcript of proceedings held on March 5th, 2026, page 83, inserts 1 through 10. I got those printed out right now. Let's do it. One moment. And let me just go ahead and repeat what that footnote is. Tammy also tells Stacey that they have some forensic evidence that they can't tell me about. And what the footnote says is that forensic evidence is bullshit. Because there is none. So March 5th. Let's go to March 5th. I got them all printed out here because I'm one of those people that like to print shit out and read instead of use technology. Because I was born in the age of you still wrote shit. So hold on. It would have to be Cadaver or what's his name? Jason Horst. One of those. Witnesses. Yep, it's Cadaver. Day 2. Page 83. Is this crazy that I'm going through all of these physical documents? It is what it is. Page 82. We're almost there. Sorry, hold on. Okay, page 83, inserts 1 through 10. Hold on, guys. Page 83. All right. The entire backyard was excavated and the house was forensically searched by Ada County Crime Scene Unit. However, no remains of Michael were discovered. Cadaver is reading the search warrant that she got approved for some reason, somehow, some way, about the, I believe, Tina, Brandon's mother's house, getting the laptop and whatever else for the search that ended up in a cemetery in Lehigh County. Okay, long story short, she was reading a search warrant about getting evidence from Brandon's mother's house in Kuna, where they towed the car from that night Michael went missing. Okay, however, it should be noted that 5 separate cadaver dogs, all used in separate times, alerted to the backyard area where Stacey previously marked on the photograph of this residence. So your statement in this search warrant that you submitted to the court said all use separate times alerted to the backyard. And she says, I wasn't there for all of the dogs where they alerted. There's no forensic evidence. Canines aren't forensic. That's hilarious that they use that footnote, that memorandum, or that part. Because their search warrant is honestly full of shit. Wow. I am bewildered. And it's time to go max, as Charlie Kirk said. November 4th, 2022. Tammy returned a phone call from the detectives as they tried to reach her earlier in the week. During that phone call, the detectives asked Tammy to put pressure on Stacey so that he would tell the detectives that what he knew about the disappearance of Michael Vaughan. Yeah, I can't do this. Guys, I'm going to have to come back after I cool down. I'm going to lose it. I hope that you don't mind that. It's almost 2 hours anyway. It's a good break. Let's ingest what little we've gone over. And let's recap real quick, and then I'll be back later. Wow. Yeah. I think I've said enough so far for the moment. So we've only gone over through a few pages, basically going over what the state said happened to Michael, which they believe that Stacey, Sarah, Brandon, and Adrian kidnapped and murdered Michael. And his body has never been found, but he did it because he confessed in prison. And there is surveillance footage of them being in places. No footage or metadata showing a crime was committed, an actual crime. There's no forensic evidence. But there's a lot of information about exculpatory evidence, like the cadaver dogs not hitting in the backyard in November of 2021, but yet a year later, 5 different ones do. You're telling me that Michael came to the backyard later? I think not, unless there was somebody that had that poor boy and put him there, or put something there to make it look like it. That's more reasonable than any of the state's theory. So there's a lot of dirty work on from what I'm seeing by specifically the detectives. The detectives, including Chris McDonough. That is very disheartening and shameful. I'm actually ashamed that this is what Michael's case has become. I knew it was going to happen, and we're going to help make Michael's justice something worth something, because it isn't worth anything if it's based on the lies and the deception of these cops. Not on my watch. I'm done. Everything comes out. Everything. The things I've been holding on to for years that you guys have been patiently waiting for, it's coming out. It's coming out. Because if it should have been evidence and they didn't put it in there, too fucking bad. Come and get it. But it won't be because of Stacey being involved, or Brandon, or Adrian, or Sarah. So let me know when this case actually goes somewhere that you need something. I'll be here. I'm so mad. I'm sorry, guys. Thank you for being here with me and listening to my potty mouth. I'm going to have to go say some Hail Marys and go spend time with my family and eat some dinner. I will be back, though. This is not the end. I just need to cool down. I can be honest enough with my audience that this got me too angry. And the right thing to do is to step away. Much love to you guys. Watch out for that live coming up here in a few hours. I don't know exactly when. Just be patient. But if you happen to still be watching the YouTube streets, come and say hi. All right. Thank you, guys. Drink your water. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Goodbye.
seems like a waste of time. I'll take a step back from all of this and try to find my way out of this shit. It's a labyrinth and I keep stumbling. I'm lost and broken, but I'm getting up again. They try to put me in a cage, but I won't get in. I look into the mirror and I see my better twin. I see my past life and I see my better twin. I can't let go. My hands are tied. I lose my way, but I know I'll find my way to the puzzle of truth.